Good morning, everyone. Today we'll discuss about the electrocardiogram. And in this today's presentation, we'll just discuss about the basics of electrocardiogram. We'll have the two sessions on electrocardiogram. In today's presentation, we'll just discuss about the how we take the electrocardiogram, what are the leads, and what are the different waves and segments or intervals in the EKG. In the next session, we'll discuss about the EKG in the different cardiovascular diseases. I am your teacher, Dr. Bhupendra Saha, Assistant Professor of Department of Internal Medicine, BP Koirala Institute of Health Sciences, Dharan. What is electrocardiogram? We have come across the different electrocardiogram in our career. To define the electrocardiogram, it is the graph where there is the voltage versus time of the electrical activity of the heart using the electrode placed on the skin. So it's a graph. So in this graph, what you can see here is that there is this y-axis is the voltage and this x-axis is the time. And this graph depicts the electrical activity of the heart, which can be detected by placing the different electrodes over the precordium and the limbs. These ECGs are helpful in interpreting the different cardiac rhythm. Is there normal rhythm or is there abnormal rhythm? Whether there is a problem in the conduction system or not. It also helps in detection of the cardiac ischemia, especially in the myocardial infarction. So it is one of the cheapest tests that we can perform, and it is one of the most useful tests that we can do. That's why as a MBBS student, we should have thorough knowledge of the ECGs. So in the ECGs, first of all, we should have knowledge regarding the different limbs placements. These are the limb leads. As you know, there are the three limb leads. This is limb lead 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, this is one limb lead and two limb leads, and the third limb leads. Okay, so how the one limb leads are made? In the one limb leads, their negative electrode are placed at the right arm, and the positive electrode are placed at the left arm. So here is negative. Here in the right arm, here is the negative terminal. In the left arm, here is positive terminal. That's why if you make a triangle, this type of triangle, here is the negative and here is the positive. So the positive terminal of the lead 1 lies at the left arm. So from the left arm, it is looking towards the heart. Similarly, for the lead 2, negative terminals are kept in the right arm and the positive terminal are kept in the left foot. Okay, in the left foot. And for the limb lead 3, the negative terminal are kept in the left arm and the positive terminal are kept in the left foot. Then if you make a triangle like this become like this. So like for the lead, this is lead 1, this one is the lead 1, this one is the lead 3. Okay, this one is the lead 2, and this is the lead 3. Okay, so if you have to draw the vector of this limb leads, like the one limb leads will be directed towards the left arm, lead 2 vector will be directed towards the left foot, and for the lead 3 vector will be directed towards the foot, like it should always directed towards the positive side. So as a rule, the voltage of the lead 2 is equals to this is called Inthoven's triangles, and is equals to lead 1 plus lead 3. This is the Inthoven's law, which is the father of the modern EKG. So from this triangle, what you can see, your lead 1 will look the heart from the left side. your lead 2 and the lead 3 looks the heart from the bottom, from the foot. That is what you have to know. And these are the augmented leads. These are the augmented unipolar leads. A means augmented, B, F means the unipolar leads, F means foot. So these leads look the heart from this side, from the bottom of the heart, and this AVL looks from the left side of the heart, and the AVR looks from the right side of the heart. So your AVR will be here, AVL will be here, and AVF will be here. So why you have to know from which direction it is looking to the heart? Because if the flow of the depolarization is towards the positive terminal of that electrode, then there will be the positive deflection, otherwise the negative deflection. Okay. Then these are the unipolar lead chase leads, and these are V1 to V6. Classically, we keep up to the V6. V1 we keep at the fourth intercostal space, okay, fourth right intercostal space. Then after keeping the V1, we keep the V2 in the fourth intercostal space in the left side, in the left side, and both V4 at the mitral area. Then the fifth intercostal space is in the fifth intercostal space. So after keeping the V4, we can keep the V3 in between V2 and V3 over here. And V5 and V6 will be in the line of V4, and V5 will be at the level of the fifth intercostal space in the anterior axillary line. It's in the anterior axillary line, and V6 in the mid axillary line. Okay, so when someone asks you to keep the chase electrodes, then your V1 should be in the right intercostal space. Then you keep the V2 in the left fourth intercostal space. Then you keep the V4 electrode in the apex, and V3 in between the V2 and V4. V5 in the fifth intercostal space in the anterior axillary line, and the V6 in the mid axillary line. So what is the difference between these two types of electrode system is that your limb leads like 1 and 2 and 3 and AVR, AVF, which are the augmented leads, looks the heart from the left to right, This makes some hexagonal system. Like your lead 1 looks the heart from this direction, and lead 2 looks the heart from this directions, AVF from this directions, like that. Make a hexagonal system over here. So, and from where the chest electrode looks the heart. Chest electrode looks the heart from anterior to posterior directions. So, like anterior to the posterior directions. So, your heart is looked from left to right by 1, 2, 3, AVL, AVR, AVR, and V1, V2, 2, V3, V4 are more sensitive to the anterior posterior directions. That's why we have to know. Now, from which direction the leads are looking, like as I have already told, so lead 1. So lead 1 is the positive terminal of the lead 1 is in the left side, so it looks the heart from the lateral side. Yeah, so if there is any problem in the lateral surface of the heart, then you can see the changes in the lead 1. Similarly, lead 2 and lead 3, as I have already discussed, lead 2, the positive terminal of lead 2 and lead 3 is in the bottom of the heart, in the foot region, left foot region. That's why it looks the heart from the bottom. So if there is any problem in the inferior surface of the heart, like in case inferior wall MI, we see the changes into the lead 2 and lead 3. That's what we have to know. Similarly, AVR looks from the lateral side, because AVR looks from the right side, and the AVL looks from the left side, from the lateral side, and AVF from the bottom of the heart. And for the chest electrode, V1 or V2 looks the septum of the heart, because septum of the heart, and V3 and V4 looks from the anterior aspect of the heart, and V5 and V6 from the lateral aspect of the heart. So if there is any problem in the septum, then we see the changes in the V1 and V2. If there is a problem in V3 and V4, then we can say there is a problem in anterior wall. If there is problem in V5 and V6, we can say that the problem is in the level of the lateral surface of the heart. So somebody, if you see the ECG with the ST elevation in the lead 2, lead 3, and AVF, then they will ask you where is the problem. Then you have to say the inferior surface of the heart, the inferior wall MI is the problem. If someone said there is a stillation in AVL, V5 and V6, then you have to say the problem is at the level of the lateral surface of it is the lateral wall MI, like that way. So we have to comment. That's why we have to know from which direction the lead are looking your heart. Then before going ahead, we have to know about the conduction system of the heart. As we know, the SA node, where the SA node which can generate the current, we can generate the current at the highest rate. That's why it is also called the pacemaker, because we know the SA node can generate the current at the in between the 60 to 100 in the normal individual. If SA node is failing, then your AV node can generate. If AV node is failing, then bundle of His can generate. If bundle of His is failing, then your myocardium can generate. So the maximal heart rate can be generated by the activity of the SA node. That's why it's also the pacemaker of the heart. When the current gets generated at the level of the SA node, it travels to the AV node by the different internodal nodal pathway. These are the internodal pathway. It activates the right atrium, and through the Bachmann bundle. This is a Bachmann bundle. The current passes to the left atrium, and it also depolarizes the left atrium. So what happens when there is a right atrial depolarization, the direction of the current will be downward and anterior direction, and when it depolarizing the left atrium, the direction of current will be the downward and but the posterior direction. It seems in the posterior direction because our left atrium is in the posterior aspect of the heart. Why we have to know it? Because if there is a lead like V1 over here, then what you can see there, if you can POA will be like this, because this is the right atrial, because the current is coming towards the V1. But when it is depolarizing the left atrium, then current is going away from the negative deflection. There is a biphasic pattern in a V1 lead, because the rule is that you will have the positive deflection only if the flow of the current, if the direction of the depolarization is towards the positive electrode, towards that lead, then only there is the positive deflection. Otherwise, if the current is flowing away from the positive terminal, then you will see the negative deflection in the EKG. Okay. Then once it comes to in the AV node, there is some delay, because there is some delay. After then it passes through the bundle of His. Then from the septum, in the septum, what happens? First of all, the depolarization occur from left to right here, the current left to right, and then by the Purkinje system, it will depolarize the whole heart. It can depolarize the whole heart. And the depolarization, direction of depolarization is from endocardium to the epicardium, whereas the direction of depolarization is from the epicardium to the endocardium. So this is how the current flow. So to understand about the EKG, we have to know also the septal depolarization. Initially, what you see, there is a septal depolarization left to right. So the current is flowing in this direction first, and then when the ventricle is depolarizing, there is also depolarization of the right ventricle as well as the left ventricle. So, but as the muscle mass of the left ventricle is too high than that of the right ventricle, the net vector will be towards the left. Okay, so the current will be ultimately flow towards the left ventricle, that is towards downwards and towards the left. So after understanding this conduction system, we have to know what happens in the EKG. So in the EKG, we see this type of the graph. Okay, this is the P wave. As you know, this is the P wave, and after the P wave, so P wave is formed by the atrial depolarization. Then as we have already understand that there is some delay in at the level of AV node, and this is the delay in the AV node. This is the delay in the AV node. This is the PR segment, and if you include P wave and a PR segment, then it becomes PR interval. PR interval also includes the P wave. So once there is a delay in AV node, the current travel through the bundle hip, but initially there is the current flowing from the left to right, that is opposite to the usual direction. That's why there is some deflection in the here. This is the Q wave. The Q wave is because of the septal depolarization. septal depolarization. And once the septal depolarization, there will be the depolarization of the right ventricle as well as the left ventricle, but the mass of the left ventricle is too high. That's why current flow towards the foot and towards the left direction. That's why it's a positive terminal. Once there is a positive terminal over here, okay, positive terminal over here, and then ultimately this is the ventricular depolarization, and ventricular depolarization starts from the apex to the apex of the heart towards the posterior directions. That's why you see the S waves. Then this is the phase where you don't see the electrically silent phase, because this is called ST segment is this, and this point where the S wave met the ST segment is the J point. This is a J point. You have to know it's J point. This is ST segment, and this is the T wave is because of the ventricular repolarization, and sometimes you also see the U wave. U wave is not a common phenomena, but you see the U wave in V2, V3, and the V4. It's because of the septal repolarization, mid-septal repolarization. So what is the reason for the P wave? Is because of the atrial depolarization. What is the reason for PR segment? Is the delay in the AV node. What is the reason for Q wave? It's because of the QRS is because of the ventricular depolarization. And ST segment is electrically silent region, and T wave is because of the ventricular repolarization, and U wave is the mid-septal depolarization. It's another common wave that we see in the EKG. So how to comment upon ECG? If someone gives you the ECG, then how to comment upon the ECG? First of all, you have to know about the rate, rhythm, and axis, intervals, P wave, QRS wave, ST segment wave, and overall interpretation we have to know. So in the heart rate, how we are supposed to calculate? If you get this type of ECG, the speed of this most of the ECG is 25 mm per second. That we have 25 mm per second, 25 mm per second, and the voltage is 10 mm is 10 mm is 10 small box is 1 millivolt, okay, 1 millivolt. And how to calculate the heart rate? Because the heart rate should be calculated by this is R peak, R interval, and R interval, this gap, okay. What you have to do, you have to just divide 1500, 1500, we have to divide 1500, 1500 divided by the number of smallest box in between this RR interval, smallest box, okay, because like here is 1, then 5 year, 5 year, 5 year, and 5, near about 5, so 16, 1500 by 16, it should be 16, so it should be 1500 by 16, smallest we should divide it, we can calculate the heart rate. But if the rhythm is not regular, and if it irregular, like in this ECG, we cannot apply this formula for these things. We have to calculate the R peak in the 6 seconds, R peak in the 6 seconds. We have to count that in 6 seconds. 6 seconds, okay, 6 seconds means 25 mm. We have to keep R number of R. So if the number of R in the 6 seconds is 12, then we have to multiply by 10. So 110 will be the rate. So for the irregular rhythm, what you have to do, you have to count the R peak in the 6 seconds. Thus you mark the 6 seconds in ECG, because 25 mm is 1 second, then 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Then in 6 seconds, you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, and the value should be multiplied by the 10, because 6 seconds, 6 seconds should be multiplied by 10 for 60 seconds. That's if you multiply by 10, and you will get the heart rate. This is how we calculate the heart rate in our day-to-day clinical practice. Then after, we have to also know about the rhythm, and so we'll stick with the basics. So to say that whether it is a sinus rhythm or it's not a sinus rhythm, there should be a P wave, and this should be followed by QRS, and it should be 1:1 ratio. So there, if the P wave should be followed by QRS, and it should be 1:1 ratio. If there is no P wave is not followed by QRS, then definitely it's not in the sinus rhythm. So we can say if you just see the P wave and just see the QRS, whether it is following in 1:1 pattern or not. If it is there, then we can say then it's the sinus rhythm. Okay, we will also talk about the axis over here, whether it is the axis axis about the ECG here, because I think I forgot to mention about the axis in this presentation. So how to draw the axis? As we have already draw the axis like this. So what is this? Suppose this is the lead one. Okay, this is the lead one, and this one is the AVF. Okay, AVF. This in the hexagonal system. This is AVF. AVF. Okay, so this is 0. This is the plus 90. This is 180. My 180. This is minus 90. Minus 90 degree. So the normal axis of the heart is in between the here. Okay, what the 90 plus 90 to 130 is the normal axis of the heart. So minus 90 to 130, minus plus 90 to minus 30 is the normal axis of the heart. Normal axis. If it is here, then we can say it's the left axis deviation. If it is here, we can say it's the right axis deviation. This is the right axis deviation here. If it is here, then we can say the extreme axis deviation. Okay. So how we can calculate the axis in the ECG paper? For that, okay, I will erase this and then okay. Like let's suppose in the lead one, just check. Okay, if this is lead one, this one is the lead one. This is for one lead, and this is for the AVF. For the AVF, let's suppose this is for the AVF. Okay, this is AVF lead. So what is the amplitude of the amplitude of QRS in the lead one? It's probably 1. We have to calculate it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for the one here, it comes in this direction. This direction. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Okay, the 5 here. For the AVF, it is let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're also positive. So in AVF, then we come like if for positive in AVF, we have to come this direction. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have to draw the line from here to meet another line from the AVL, and this is the axis. This is your axis. This is your axis. So this falls in the normal directions. If AVF is negative, then we have to go in upward direction. So it may be the left axis deviation. This is how we have to calculate the axis, and whether it is the right axis or the left axis, whether it is the extreme axis, the normal axis, we have to comment upon after rhythm. Then we'll go one by one about the P wave. So as I've already told you, P wave is formed by the right atrial depolarization followed by the left atrial depolarization, duration of which is usually less than 0.12 second, that is 3 smallest box, and amplitude is 0.25 millivolt, that is 2.5 smallest box. Is usually notched in the limb leads and biphasic in the V1. So can I identify the P wave here? So P wave, this is your P wave. This is the P wave over here. So this is the normal P wave. The P wave. So in the V1, if you see carefully here, then this is a biphasic one. This is small, then like this, it is going downward. Okay, here, biphasic. So it is usually the upright in case of limb leads and biphasic in V1, and the this is the normal. Okay. So if there is a right atrial enlargement, then what happens? If there is a right atrial enlargement, then the right atrial will also take time to fully depolarize. So that's why the right atrial depolarization and the left atrial depolarization may depolarize simultaneously. And so there is addition at the amplitude, and you will get the peak P wave. If the amplitude of this peak wave is more than 2.5 mm or 0.25 millivolt, we can say there is a right atrial enlargement. This is also called the P pulmonale. P pulmonale. So if the amplitude of the P wave in the lead 2 is more than 2.5 mm or 0.25 millivolt, then we can say right atrial enlargement. In case of the left atrial enlargement, so there will be the biphasic pattern, because there is also the significant amplitude in the left atrial depolarization, so it is a biphasic pattern. This is also a P mitral pattern, and the duration of which should be more than 0.12 seconds. And this is how we have to see the P wave morphology in the ECG. So what is P pulmonale? In the P pulmonale, there will be just increase in amplitude of the P wave, more than 2.5 mm. And what is M mitral? There is a widening of the P wave in the EKG. Regarding the PR interval, as I've already told you, it includes from the P wave from here, from the initiation of P wave to the initiation of the Q wave. This is the PR interval. Okay, so sometimes we have to measure the duration of the PR interval. It's usually 0.12 seconds to 0.2 seconds is usually, but if it is more than that, let's suppose if PR interval is 0.24 seconds, then we can say there is prolonged PR interval and there is some degree of the heart block or a delay in conduction. That's why you have to measure the PR interval as well. Okay. Sometimes in some condition PR interval may be shortened, like in case of WBW syndrome, WBW syndrome, there can be shortening of the PR interval. Yes, so I think you can calculate the PR interval. Just you find out the P wave and beginning of the P wave to the beginning of Q wave. Just you count the number of bucks and you will get the time. Similarly, for the QRS interval, it's, as we have already discussed, it's because of the ventricular depolarization. And what we have to be thorough about the nomenclature of the QRS interval. Initial negative wave is Q wave. Q wave is the first negative wave. R wave is the first positive in QRS complex is R wave. This is wrong. Okay, this is wrong. This is R wave. So first positive deflection after Q wave is the R wave, and the negative deflection that following the R wave is the S wave. Okay, this is not right. R wave is S wave. Again, if there is a second positive deflection, then you have to call the R prime. And if the amplitude of the wave is very small, 0.5, then you have to give a small letter like this. Okay, so we'll make it clear, more clear. So here. So the first positive deflection is what? R. Okay, for then negative deflection following the R wave is S. The second positive deflection is R prime. So this is R, S, R dash. First positive is R, that's why it's come R. Then negative deflection is S, then S. Then second positive is R, this is called R dash. This is how you have to give the nomenclature to the different QRS morphology. Like in this patient, like here is the first positive is R and negative is S, RS. Why you use small? Because the amplitude is small, that's why you use the small letter. Why use capital here? Because amplitude is large, that's why you use the capital letter here. That's how we can give the different nomenclature with the different QRS morphology. It's important to understand the different problem in the ventricular depolarization. We'll discuss that in the next ECG session. Then we have to also know about the ST segment. ST segment is the, as I've already told you, is the end of the S wave to the beginning of the T wave. This is the ST segment here. Is the period between ventricular depolarization and the repolarization, is the phase of the electrocardiographic silent phase. And we have to also know about the J point, because it's the end of the QRS and starting of the ST segment. Like in this patient, here is the J point over here. J point is here. Okay. In this patient, here is J point is here. In this patient, the end of ST segment. Then starting of the T wave is here. Then this is ST segment over here. Okay. This is a J point here. So J point can be in the normal isoelectric line. It can be elevated. It can be depressed. Depending upon the pathophysiology, like in case of myocardial infarction, there can be elevation in the J point, and like even in case of unstable angina, there can be depression in the J point, like that. So we have to know about the J point, and we have to also we should always try to find out the J point in the ECG. So regarding the T wave is the ventricular repolarization, because repolarization is one of the slow process. So when you see the ECG, when you see we have to know the peak is the uphill is the like slowly slow phase, and the downhill is slight like this. Okay, there is a broad T wave. It's a slow upstroke, because slow upstroke is going slowly. So they say they like fat end, and rapid downstroke with rapid end like this. Okay, so not this is the typical T wave morphology in the ECG. If there is if the T wave is like this, this is the problem. If this is tented, this is the problem with T wave. This you will get this type of tented T wave, yeah, in a patient with hyperkalemia, or sometimes even in myocardial infarction. So the T wave have certain morphology that we have to understand. Okay, and definitely it has also the amplitude. The amplitude of T wave is usually less than 5 mm. That is 0.5 millivolt in limb leads, and 10 mm, that is 1 millivolt in chest leads. If it is more than that, we can say there is increase in T wave amplitude. Okay. So we have to sometimes you have to also calculate the QT interval, as I've already discussed about the QT interval. This is P wave, this is Q wave, this is R wave, this is S wave, this is J point, then T segments. So QT interval is includes the beginning of the Q wave to the end of the T wave. This is called QT interval. So what it shows, it shows mainly of the ventricular depolarization and repolarization. So if there is any problem in the ventricular depolarization and repolarization process, then there can be the prolongation in the QT interval. That's why we need to know about the QT interval. But it is subjected to the subject to change with the change in the heart rate. It is shorter with a faster heart rate and longer with a slower heart rate. That's why we need to have certain connections. And how you can calculate the QT? Just you calculate the time and divided by the RR interval, and the normal value of the QT in case of male is 0.44 seconds, and for female is 0.46 seconds, and lower limit is 0.36 seconds. So in the male it's 0.36 to 0.44 seconds, in female it is 0.36 to 0.46 seconds. If it is more than that, then we can say there is a long QT interval, and it has some certain pathologies, and these type of individuals are more prone for the ventricular tachycardia and ventricular fibrillations. That's why we need to calculate the QT interval. Then the last one is, I think, U wave, second last one, I think. So sometimes we see the VT to FIFO is the depolarization of the His-Parkinson system, or some say it's because of the mid-septal depolarization, or some say the M cells depolarization like that. So you'll see the U wave classically in hypokalemia. We won't discuss much about the U wave. So last slide, I think this is the last slide for this today's presentation. This is TP segment. So TP segment is the end of the T wave to the starting of the P wave. So after the ventricular repolarization and before the after depolarization, the heart is in the refractory period. And so this segment is a TP segment, and this is the isoelectric segments, because if you know this isoelectric segment, then if you draw this line here, with the we have to compare with the TP segment whether this ST is elevated or not, where is the J point like that. That's why we know the TP segment. TP segment is the end of the T wave and the starting of the P wave. It is the isoelectric line, it is the period of the refractory period, and it helps us to understand about the elevation or depression of the J point, understand whether there is a ST segment elevation or depression or not. Okay. So thank you for all of you for your kind attention. We have discussed about the basics of the ECG. So ECG is a graph which shows the electrical activity of the heart by using the electrodes, where the voltage are in the y-axis and the time is in the x-axis. It is helpful to understand the different cardiac rhythm, conduction abnormalities, and the cardiac ischemia. We have also learned about the different leads. There are limb leads, there are 1, 2, and 3. One leads is from like with the arm leads. For the 1, negative is in the right arm, positive in the left arm. For the 2, there is negative in the right arm, positive in the left foot. Similarly, for the left lead 3, there is negative, there is positive. There is augmented 3 leads, and there are 6 chest electrodes. So these augmented and the limits looks the heart from left to right direction, from the left to right directions, and the chest electrode looks the heart from anterior to posterior directions. Then we discuss about the cardiac conduction system. In the cardiac conduction system, current generated from the SA node, it travel to the AV node from by the internodal pathway, and to the left atrium to the bundle of Bachmann, and the ventricle to the bundle of His, and in the Purkinje system. Then we have also discussed about the different waves. That P wave is because of the atrial depolarization, and PR segment is because PR segment is the where there is a delay in the AV node. Q is because of the septal depolarization. QRS as a whole is because of the ventricular depolarization. Then the T wave is because of the ventricular repolarization, and U wave is because of the depolarization of the Purkinje system or septal depolarization. We have understood these things, and we have also discussed about the how to calculate the segments and the wave. So the next session will discuss the ECG in the disease. For that, we have to know about the basics. So please go through this ECG lecture, and if you have any comments, you can write in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. Okay, thank you.